Happy Monday. In America, it is Women's History Month, so happy Women's History Month. We also just passed International Women's Day, so celebration for all the women who are just existing in this world. All right, so with that, I want to go ahead and get started with the agency group. Right now, we want more people to be engaged. And so I'm going to share my screen. I have a very brief presentation for you all, and I'm going to share my screen. And then if at any point you have any questions, you can let me know. I always tell people, if you can see my tabs, this is a judgment-free zone, so don't judge me for that, okay? All right. That is just who I am and how I tend to operate. So all right. I need to make sure I can see you all. And if you can give me a thumbs up if you can, okay, this is not what I want to do. Hold on one second. Our school has moved from Zoom to Google Meets, and I am not happy about it, but I will get on board. All right, so what I want to do is quickly just go through where we are, what we're doing, and our next moves. So I want to start with a poem by Joel Yabin. He is a good friend, and he's also doing great work over at International School Services. And I don't want to necessarily read this to you. I want you to take a moment and read it, actually. Actually, I am going to read it. Dreaming of a place in space where it sees and centers me and you, our past, our present, our future. It sees and centers our stories, our ancestor stories, and the stories of our children's children. Here within, it centers on the lives we live and the loves we have and hold. We are brave and bold. Where I see me and you, it centers on our dreams and desires. It centers our homes and happiness, our solidarities, our solitudes, and our joys. It centers our leadership, our inventions, ideations, and innovations, not commodified, not consumed, not reviled, not vilified. It centers our identities and communities and all its intersections and what we bring and what we build, our peoples, our passions, our pathways, our pulses, and our powers. In a place where we will be who we are, unquestioned and undenied, beautiful, legal, no explanations and justifications, not silent, not silenced, existing, resisting, breathing, where we whisper, speak, and sing, and dance, and move, and create with the languages we have, the languages of our hearts and minds, of our flesh and bones, on the lands and in the languages we own, in a place where we are not only accepted and tolerated, but are fully and authentically living, loved, and lived, caring for and carving new paths, writing our songs and nourishing our souls, making our own art, dismantling the shackles of our histories and hearts, our skins and spirits once exhausted from and castigated by the racism, sexism, classism, and casteism of the past. We are free from the oppressions and oppressors from within, and the oppression and the oppressors pressed upon that have long caused harm, hate, and doubt, to restore and reclaim who we are and the joys and genius of what we are truly about, in a place where we live our dreams with our lives and love, in our homes we call our own, in places where we truly belong, where the wholeness of our humanity enshrined, protected, safe, sanctified, sacred. We will rest and play and build new tools, new todays and new tomorrows, no concessions and distortions. We grow up and out of our harmful internalized socializations. We are healed of our wounds from the terrors and horrors of that gaze and hateful rage. We are fortresses of courage, no spear, no fear, no chains, no pain, no borders, no orders, no quiet and blasting war. We will live and love our truth. We are who we are. And I want you to take a moment to think about that and imagine a school where we all feel like we belong. And so that's the goal of this task force, is to eventually create places and spaces that Joel so eloquently shared with us, where we can be and we can be honored and be who we are. So I'm going to take us back to October 2022, not a lot, just a little bit, and then kind of take you really quickly on a journey of what we did as a group, and then make a request for you to join, or if you have any questions, I am here to answer those. All right, so really I want to start with this idea of creating environments of belonging. And on the left hand, I think it's my left, you're right, I don't know. We have the dysfunctional cycle of equity work. And I really want us to understand that creating environments that are anti-discriminatory is not just emotional. Because sometimes when we lead with emotion, what happens is we start with that emotional catalyst and we're rah, rah, rah. We're like, okay, we're going to create these environments of anti-discrimination and inclusion and belonging, and we're all committed. And then we realize that it is not easy, because it's not. And so there are problems and bumps along the way, and we are impeded by those barriers. And then we stop. And then there's right back to the inequity, because it's not easy. So I want you to think about creating these environments of belonging as what we see from Purple Tuesday. It's not easy. It's not a straight line. It's not, if we do this and this and this will happen. It is work. It requires us to be flexible and patient and make changes and go back to the changes and look at the data and use that data, and then look at the new data and go back and forth. So I really want us to sit in that it's not easy and it's not quick, but if you remain committed and patient, you will see change. All right, so I want to just take us through some of what we have done as a committee and what we have come up with. So in our initial conversations, what we realized is that the core of the felt experience of our students is important. And so to create student agency, there has to be supportive adults, right? There has to be someone in the building, or someones in the building, that are going to support the students and facilitate what they have seen as what they want to see, what they see as necessary for change. In order to have those supportive adults who can actually act along with the students, there has to be a supportive administration team. And so in our earlier conversations, this is kind of in diagram what we came up with. In terms
Katrina,
of
Katrina, I'm just going to stop you. We can't see your slides.
You can't see my
I
slides.
think you're speaking to slides, aren't you?
I am speaking to slides. Thank you for
Sorry,
on, folks. You can always tell me when you can't see. Okay, let me try again. So we just had to go to my admin IT team before this meeting started. So let's hope that they fixed it. Hold on. Thank you for that. And if necessary, I can actually put the slides in. Okay, so can you see something now? Say yes, yay, nay?
Yes, yes.
All right.
It's not
Perfect.
on the screen, so we can see everything on your screen.
No, I got it. I'm getting ready to change that. I'm so glad. See, this is why we have to help each other, folks. Thank you for popping in and telling me, because I would have kept talking. All right, so Let me go back so you can see actually the visuals. Alrighty. Okay. So this is what I was just speaking to in terms of inclusion. And here's the graphic on the left is that dysfunctional emotional cycle that I was just referring to, where we're all excited and then it wanes because of the problems with implementation, and we're no longer excited because the commitment is required and it requires that patience, and then we go back. So this is from a book called Belonging Through a Culture of Dignity. And what we want to be is what Purple Tuesday has visualized for us in this graphic, which is we have to be flexible, open to learn, making changes. Okay, so those are the two graphics I was making reference to, and thank you for that. All right, and so here's the second graphic that I was making reference to. So the students, again, we need people within the school, those supportive adults, to serve as facilitators. But if those folks don't have positional power or authority given to them by the administration team, then it does impact the student, and the student doesn't have agency. So this is what came out of those first conversations. Also, what we decided, again, those first conversations that we had as a group, and those adults who are helping facilitation of the agency with the students, they need to have an understanding along with the student. So if you see, both the student and that facilitator need to understand some key concepts. They have to understand what discrimination is. What does it look like in their school? How does it manifest in their particular community? And also start looking at it from a local and a global lens, but actually starting within their school communities. Active participation. Students need to be engaged. What we saw as a group is that the adults seem to be more than facilitators. They were the actors. And so what we want is the students to be the actors, right? Being facilitated by the adults. Again, a sense of cultural awareness. So that group is promoting also cultural awareness within their community, leadership support, as we said before, and of course, student voice. And that means that the school has decided that the student voice actually matters, right? And it's not just students just speaking, but changes are being made because of the students. And if those changes aren't being made, or students have voiced opinions, those opinions are being responded to, because sometimes there are limitations. But we want to make sure students are being heard and they know they're being heard in their communities. Also, when we start looking at some of the school strategies and what schools can do, the first thing we wanted to, or the first thing we kind of determined, is that creating these environments of anti-discrimination is safeguarding, right? It's child safeguarding. So that's the first thing that the schools, or we discussed, that the schools should identify. Then there has to be a commitment to policies, developing policies of anti-discrimination. Of course, the students are included in that. Seeking expert guidance. There is an expertise in this, and so it's important that we seek those experts. Teams should be empowered and then trained as well. So any students that, again, that are on the forefront, any adults that are facilitating students should be trained. And again, this is kind of review of our earlier conversations. Where we are now is that we have talked in the last few years and have come to those conclusions. What we know is that anything can be easily deconstructed if there isn't data to support. So we can, as a cohort, as a student agency group, come together and discuss all of these great recommendations, or some of the things that you saw in the previous slides. But what we really need is data that's going to really drive what it is, or inform the recommendations that we make. So we have created three surveys to go out to heads of schools, principals, students, and those who are leading in inclusion. And so that's really, as we add more people to the group, that's really what we need, is a disbursement of these surveys within your network. So on LinkedIn or on your social medias, so that we can use those those data sources to really have informed recommendations on how to create student agency. And so our next step is, using that data, we will create a plan and recommendations for international schools based on, again, the nuances of each school, their location, their demographic, because that's important. And so that's why we're gathering data, so that we can begin to understand those nuances. What we recommend, we want to be able to be generalized and standardized in a way that it is applicable to schools throughout the globe. Okay. That's all I have for today. So I'm going to stop sharing. Again, thank you for popping in and letting me know. There are a few things I will put into the chat. I have a link if you want to join the student agency group. And our student who was the most active actually graduated and is a freshman and is very busy. And so we are looking for more students to join. And I also will put in the chat the surveys. Now, let me put the big elephant in the room, is this idea of what is happening in the political landscape of America, right? We have to talk about that, because when we're talking about anti-discrimination, I want us to be very clear as to what we're doing. We're not talking about whatever people have on either side of the political landscape in America. We are not talking about whatever people have called DEI, because for me, and anybody who knows me knows that for me, DEI is an umbrella term that has been used to mean everything and nothing at the same time. It's been used to describe very meaningful things, very meaningful engagement, and it's also been co-opted, vilified, politicized. And so what we're talking about, one, is creating schools that are anti-discriminatory, and that everybody should agree that everybody deserves to be in a school where there is no discrimination. I don't care what side of any political line you're on. Students should feel safe, staff should feel safe, and not feel like there's discrimination in their communities. Two, this is how I count, I guess. Two, every single individual in a school should feel like they belong, right? No one should feel marginalized in their school system. So this is, to be clear, and this is why I personally don't use DEI as a generalized term. Bye, Cam, we know. Safe travels. I'm very specific in our community as to what we're doing. In my community, we're building communities of belonging. And so this is what today we're talking about, creating environments that are anti-discriminatory and anti-racist. And I think everybody, again, whatever your political alignment is, agrees that we should have environments like that for our students. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? You're muted, Kristen.
Yes, hi. I'm gonna ask because I have a lot of students here, and we just launched our middle school Jedi group. And so we saw this opportunity and to learn more. And so when you do have students in the group, could you speak a little bit more to what their role might look like or responsibilities?
Absolutely. So when we invite students, their role is to be the voice of a student. We need a student's perspective because, I mean, I was born in the 1900s. So because of that, I can't really articulate what it's like to be a teen and a student in the international school right now. And so when we invite students to our meetings, that's exactly what we want. Sometimes we collect informal data. Our last student was a senior, so she actually helped with the student survey. She helped create the student survey as well. So that's pretty much what we would want from the students when they're invited.
Okay, thank you. That's any questions?
Hello, are you still there? Okay, I think I paused. Somebody paused. Maybe it was me. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions? All right, so what I am asking is, let me put all the things in the chat for you all, and there will be links that you can actually copy. Get that for you. If you're interested, please, please, please sign up. And I will also give Cam the link so that if there are people who are watching the recording and they can't, of course, access the chat, then I'm sure Cam will find a way. So what I have attached are the surveys, and then the last link is for you to join this group, okay? So are there any other questions for the good of the good? No other questions? Really quickly, can you all introduce yourselves and tell me, I see a few familiar faces. Can you introduce yourselves and tell me where you're based, since we have a smaller group today?
I can go first. I'm Rachel Cannon. I'm one of the inclusion and belonging coordinators in my school here in Lagos, Nigeria. And I'm also one of the elementary student council advisors.
Okay. Thank you. Kate,
I'm not sure, is my mic working or not? Can
it's
you hear me?
working. It's working.
Oh, cool. So I am in Portugal, in Lisbon, and I think I have a similar role to Rachel actually there, in terms of I have whole school responsibility for pastoral and well-being and student development. And I work with the student councils in both the primary section and the senior section. And I also work with, we have a sort of prefect student leadership type body, which is in formation at the moment, but we're very much lacking that what I would say authentic student agency piece, and certainly the more of the diversity and inclusion aspect as well, with a lot of challenges. So that's my area of responsibility.
Okay, thank you, Kate. And anyone else? Kristen or...
I'll introduce myself then, just to say I'm Sarah. I'm from ECIS. And so I was with Katrina at the launch of the International School Anti-Discrimination Task Force in Geneva, and thrilled to be here today and to see what progress you've made as a committee, and how valuable it is that our student voices are there. And it's just delightful to see the whole bunch of students over there on the camera as well. Lovely that you're with us.
It is, and for us, we are at a point where our committee actually could make recommendations, but it is of vital importance for us to collect data. Data is so important for us, and the reason why you starting to see, or there's I guess it's easy, things are easy to be deconstructed if they're not informed by data. And so a lot of what you have seen sometimes in the inclusion space is people making very heartfelt, probably research-based decisions, not necessarily based on data collected from their communities. So we really have to start honing in on our communities. And so for us, again, as we make these recommendations, we need to hear from everyone. So if you could Again, take those surveys and disperse them, post them. If you're interested or know people who are interested in the student agency group, please use that link and have them join. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. All right, I think I am done if there's no other. All right, I am going to go off to start my day, and I hope the rest of you have a great day as well. Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.